everyone, I hope you are doing well, and I am very excited to talk about some of the books that I'm hoping to read throughout the month of April. I almost said March, but I'm very excited to read some books for the month of April. Kind of went through some of the different shelves that I have in my office and picked some of the ones that I was feeling, or the ones that I've been kind of glancing at and have been excited to read. I have a lot of arcs this month, and I'll probably share them all here, doing a magical rainbow motion with my hands. But yeah, I have a lot of arcs that I got through NetGalley. Some of them are through Kindle, and some of them are also going to be through audiobooks. So that will be a variety of books that I will try to get myself to read, on top of hopefully being able to read some of these ones. So with that being said, let us start. First one I have on my Kindle, and it is one of the arcs that I mentioned. It's actually called One by One by Freida McFadden. I am a huge lover of thriller books, and yet for some reason I have never read a single book by Freida McFadden. So when I was approved for this arc, I was extremely excited, had to just kind of swipe any book that I was currently reading and put that at the beginning of my list. So One by One is about Claire, who is going on a trip with her husband as well as their friends to hopefully fix her marriage that is not doing so well. But while Claire, her husband, and their friends are on their way to go to their hotel, or I think it's a cabin that they're staying at, one of the two, their car breaks down. And so they're unfortunately trekking the rest of the way there. I don't know if they're trying to catch an Uber or they're having to walk, but basically something happens where one by one, each one of the people in the group gets taken out, and they're not quite sure if they're being hunted or what exactly is happening. So it's kind of a story about betrayal and survival, and I'm very much intrigued. I love thrillers, and everyone raves about Freida McFadden, so I have high hopes that I will really love this book. I have another book by Freida McFadden, which is The Housemaid. I actually got this from Book Outlet when they had their huge fiction sale. So needless to say, I was very excited. Like I said, I've never read a Freida McFadden book, but I know a lot of people raved about this one, and there's also a second book, which is really exciting. So with this one, from what I understand, Nina is the housemaid, and she lives at the top of the house in an attic, or the top floor, and she comes out to, of course, take care of the daughter, take care of the wife and the husband, kind of notices some messy things around the house, and also notices the fact that the husband seems more and more broken as the days go by. And she starts to begin to wonder what it would be like if she had that wife's life. And so she ends up going and trying on an outfit of the wife's, thinking that she wouldn't get caught, and not assuming that her room will end up getting locked, but she doesn't realize the lock is only on the other side of the door and not the inside, and realizes that too late. So it kind of gives me a little bit of Cinderella vibes, you know, when the evil stepmother locks her in her room so she can't go downstairs to try on a shoe. I don't know, just from that little description at the end, I'm kind of getting those vibes, but I'm sure that's definitely not the case. But I am very excited to go and read this, especially knowing that there is a second book as well. Next one is a book that is a little bit on the thinner side, but it is a part of a series, and it's Broken by Imogen Keeper. It's After the Plague, Book 1. And with this, it deals with an apocalypse, but there's also a love story in it. And for those of you that watched my last video, I love apocalypses, I love zombies. I just find myself really gravitating to those types of stories. I just always find it interesting to see how characters end up changing throughout those types of situations, and what they do with difficult situations that they never expected themselves to be put in. So I'm very excited to start the series. I think there's 5 or 6 books in the series, and I actually bought them all. So I'm very hopeful that I will enjoy this book, and I feel like it will be a good palate cleanser, especially considering how short it is. I feel like if I'm in a book rut, I can easily pick this book up and go and read it and feel like, okay, I finished a book, now we can go and start reading the rest. From the Grave by Kresley Cole. It is the last book in the Arcana Chronicles. I absolutely love this book series. It deals with tarot cards, and of course, an apocalypse. The main character has poison ivy vibes, and it's so good. I love this book series so much, and I've been holding off reading it because I just don't want it to end. So if anything, I might read the other books in the series before this one, just so I can immerse myself in the story and the world a little bit longer. I have Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. This is the second book in the duology for Divine Rivals. Everyone's raving about the book series. I did read Divine Rivals, I think 2 months ago, maybe back in February, and I did love the book. Maybe not to the extent that everyone else holds that book on a pedestal, but I did really enjoy it. It took a while for me to really wrap my head around the world building and fully get an understanding of some of the things where it's like, okay, there's magic, but there's not magic, there's lingering magic here. Okay, but there's not really signs of it aside from these magical typewriters. It was a lot for me to wrap my head around, but it wasn't until I got more towards the middle to the end of the book that I really couldn't put the book down. I loved the relationship and just the conversations between Iris and Roman. And so once the book ended, it ended on a cliffhanger, and I've been wanting to go and figure out what happens next. So I'm gonna put Ruthless Vows on my list for this month. I'm hoping to get to it, but like I said, I have a lot of arcs, so we'll see if I have to push this off for another month. The next one is Where He Can't Find You by Darcy Coates. This is another author I have never read, and I'm in book talk world, so I have been getting a lot more book recommendations, authors that I've never heard of before, but that seem like I would really enjoy considering the genres that I'm interested in. And one of the people that I follow, Tori, who I'll attach her account here, she recommended this book and said it was one of her absolute favorites, so automatically I had to go and add it to my list. So with this one, it's basically in a town that's haunted by disappearances and people vanish. And when they're found, the people have been dismembered and sewn back together in unnatural ways. But no one knows, is this the work of a human killer or something darker? And like I said, I love horror, I love thrillers, just something about it. It's my favorite thing to really get invested and immersed in. So I'm very hopeful that I will get to read this month. Next one is another book by Darcy Coates. It's Voices in the Snow. I believe Bree was the one that recommended this. I watch a lot of Bree and Tori's videos on Book Talk, especially because they read a lot of the books that I really enjoy. So when I got to see this one as well, I was like, okay, adding it to my list, not even realizing until later that it's also another Darcy Coates book. So I'll read a little snippet of this because it sounds so interesting. So, no one escapes the stillness. Claire remembers the cold. She remembers abandoned cars and children's toys littered across the road. She remembers dark shapes in the snow and a terror she can't explain. And then nothing. When she wakes aching and afraid in a stranger's gothic home, he tells her she was in an accident. He claims he saved her. Claire wants to leave, but a vicious snowstorm has blanketed the world in white, trapping them together, and there's nothing she can do but wait. I love how this sounds. It sounds so creepy and scary, and I'm definitely here for it. I know that this is a story that has snow involved, and we're reaching spring, and although I have cabin fever, and I really want to get out of the house as much as possible, I also really do want to read this book, so although I'm not a fan of snow and am sick and tired of the snow and hope Colorado does not get any more snow, I do want to read this book, so it is on my list for this month. Okay, next one is The Sacrifice by Rin Chupeco, and I actually picked this up when my fiance and I went to Barnes & Noble, I think a couple months ago, and I was really excited to get this because I know this author is Filipino, and a lot of the books that they write have Filipino culture involved. And as someone that is also Filipino, or, you know, part Filipino, I really do want to get more into the culture and especially support an author that is Filipino as well. But anyway, this one is very, very creepy. It seems to be that a mummy was discovered and suddenly everyone's starting to get visions and there's all this eerie stuff that's happening, and main character of the story knows that they are falling victim to this curse on the island and they need to get away. And I mean, if that doesn't make you intrigued like it makes me intrigued, I don't know what to tell you. And then the last book on the list is The North Tower. I have started reading this, but I had to put it down a few times last month just because of the amount of arcs that I had to read, which sucks because I really do want to read this. It's The North Tower by Michelle and Hagood. And when my fiance and I went to the bookstore, she was actually there going and showing her books and signing copies. She was so sweet, and I keep feeling like, I'm so sorry, I haven't been able to read your book. I promise I'll get to it. Give you a little bit of a description of it because we love indie authors and we love supporting indie authors. 19-year-old Charlie's been dealt a bad hand from the day she was born. Found in a trash can as a baby, she's been shipped from one foster home to another, each one worse than the last. When she's offered an escape, she takes it. But fate isn't ready to be kind just yet. After a brutal car crash, Charlie is dragged into an unfamiliar world of magic, with promises of a fresh start at the Magisterium of Magic, a prestigious school for the rich and entitled. Here she's told that she's a royal, a member of the highest tier of magic users, when the kind of power most people would do anything to steal or control. When a student abruptly leaves and she catches the schoolmaster lying about it, she starts to question if the motives of her rescuers are pure. Or do these devious liars have a darker reason for finding her? With the help of a crew of troublemakers, Charlie dives into one of the magic world's oldest mysteries, the death in the North Tower and the cunning ghost who haunts it. The identity of the ghostly woman and the truth about the student's departure could help Charlie decide who she can trust, or it could prove that she should have trusted her instincts all along. This book sounds very interesting, and I'm very hopeful that I'll be able to finish this book this month because the second one just came out. And yeah, so that is my hopeful list of books that I'd like to read for the month of April. I know it is pretty extensive and I might be a little bit too confident considering I have a lot of arcs I need to get through, but if anything, they're books that I am very interested in. I've been excited about ever since I picked them up, and I'm hoping to get through them soon. If there's any books that interested you, please let me know down in the comments, and also leave a like and subscribe just to let me know that you're liking the content I'm putting out. You know, we all have self-doubts where we're like, okay, is anyone liking this stuff? So it would really help my overthinking if you could just let me know if this was something you were interested in and what you'd also like to continue seeing from me. I love you all. Hope you all have an amazing reading month, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. I just feel like a bug that's just staring into these lights, and I don't have my glasses on, and I'm like, don't go into the light.